Hello and welcome to another episode of A Wealthy Life with me, Vicky Roche. We've been talking, certainly last week, we've been talking about the start of goals and reflections and the happiness calendar. And it's that time of year. It's that time of year when our minds turn to this. Probably we should have done it before December, January, but we're here now. So what I want to do is build on the episode last week. So what I spoke to you about last week was the importance of reflection. And why reflection is important is because it's actually really very difficult to just start with a blank sheet of paper and go, okay, what are my goals? Because the thing is that goals are the measurable outcomes of your plan. And if you don't have a plan, or we might use the word strategy, then creating goals that are actually going to take you to somewhere that you want to get, to create the life that you want to live, which might include the business, the relationships, the health. If we don't have the bigger picture, then it's very hard to actually select, in inverted commas, the right goals that are going to help you move along that journey to what it is that you want to achieve. So if goals are a difficult place to start with, then maybe what we need to do is start with a plan or a strategy. Now, strategy is a bit of a business word, a bit of a financial word. A plan could also be a business word, but it might also be a bit more of a home word. You know, what is your plan for next year? So we could keep it very simple like that. So if we're going to start off with those words, and now you've got that blank sheet of paper, some of you will have that pen up and you'll be writing because somewhere in the background you've been thinking about this. But I know people that I get to do this exercise and that blank sheet of paper terrifies them. So I've looked to create strategies, techniques, if you like, to come round the back door and sort of gently push them out into the future that they're looking for by offering different ways of doing it. So the episode last week, reflection, is one of those strategies to get you to go back and think about 2023 and say, what was amazing about it? What did I love? What would I like to do more of? What would I like to do less of? And when you've started that process, it's then easier to simply look over to 2024 and go, okay, well, I already know what I'd like to do more of, and I know what I'd like to do less of. Let's move forward with that. If you've been listening all the way along, you may remember back, might have been last year, might have been in the first year, now I've been going so long, to episode 34, where I talked about the happiness calendar. What makes you happy? What makes you get out of bed with joy? And I talked you through a whole process where you can buy one of those 1-year planners. It's a very visual tool. It's got all the months written out horizontally, all the dates, and you can write on there with colored pens. And if you're really lucky, you might just get a black pen, but you'll get colored stickers. And I do love a colored sticker, although obviously I'm going to have my own colored pens as well. And you can mark this calendar out with very specific activities, events that are going to make you happy. And I suggest back in episode 34, and we'll put the link in the show notes, that what you actually do is you pick out at least one significant, deliberate, obviously I'd like you to be happy every day, but one specific deliberate happy activity that you can do at least once a month. And then there needs to be, you know, a significant one every quarter or something like that. So put back and have a listen to that. If you now then add those two things together, so we've done reflection, we've looked at what made us happy last year, and now you know how the happiness calendar works. Why don't you plot some of those happy things onto your 2024 happy calendar? Easy. We're starting to fill out the process. We don't have an empty sheet anymore. Now what we can do is start looking at, okay, if these are the things that I would like to happen in 2024, more time with family members, more time with friends, maybe special birthday events or specific holiday events, or maybe actual holidays in the UK or abroad or wherever. Maybe there are things that you like to do. I particularly like a flower show, but you could go to music concerts, the opera, whatever it is that you want, date nights even with your partner. You've got those on the calendar. What we want to do is start to gradually bubble up to get the headlines. What do these things mean? So if you've done any of the other exercises I've asked you to do, whether it's been looking at your values or anything else, I often get you to just start writing things down. And then later on, we look for, if you like, grouping words. What are the commonalities between these things? So, for example, if you had on your happiness calendar a lot of family birthdays, then we could say potentially that actually your family is very important to you. And if you've done the values exercise, it might be that word family, it could be the word love, it could be the word connection. It'll be different words for different people, but they'll essentially be talking about the same thing. So if that's what's important to you, then creating a bigger plan that allows you to have the time to spend with those that matter to you most is absolutely crucial. And so we could extrapolate from the happy calendar and then write yourself a bigger plan sentence that says, the most important thing to me in my plan, a wealthy life plan, is to have time with those that matter to me. Or if you want to do it in a strategic way, you're saying that I need to manage my business, or I manage my job, or I manage my finances in a way that allow me to have the time to choose to spend it with people that matter to me most. So you can start to slide down either side, whether you want to be rigorous and measurable and smart and strategic, use those words. Do that. Create a strategic plan. If you are at that point in your life where you're doing fairly well off financially, but actually what you want to do is you're more interested in how you spend your time because you've got plenty of money. I know that sounds quite odd, but I speak to a lot of people like that. Then if your plan is to create a more wealthy life because you're not focused so much on the income, although you're always going to need to pay attention to that, then create a wealthy life plan and start filling in the words there. So think about what's driving you. So you've done your reflection, you know what you like, you know what you don't like. Maybe you've had a pause, you've gone back and listened to the happiness calendar, you've come back here, or maybe you're going to listen to all of this and then go listen to the happy calendar. And then you're going to get your calendar and you're going to start filling it out. You need to understand what's driving you. So it might be that this question prompts something for you. When you were looking back at 2023, what did you not have enough of? Or what did you have too much of when we're talking about the negative end of the world? So what negative things did you have too much of? Were you maybe too stressed? Were you maybe too worried about money? What did you not have enough of? You didn't have enough time with the family, or you didn't have enough money. So have a little look at that set of words for a minute, and then understand what it is that might be driving you. So what you might find is that really what you want in 24 is to be less stressed. You want the happy calendar, and we started with that to get you going, and we've looked at the positive, but actually now what we can admit is that you want less stress, and whatever it is that's causing you stress, and let's be honest, everybody is stressed to a degree. You're either going to be too busy and you're stressed, you're going to have too much money and you're stressed, you're going to have not enough money and you're stressed, you're going to have not enough time and you're stressed, you're not going to be busy enough, you're not going to be meeting with people, you're going to be meeting with too many people. So either way, an imbalance, which is often caused by others taking control of your time and others deciding what your life is going to be like, can cause you stress. When you create the happy calendar and then you create the plan around it, so you're going to set out what it is that you want for 2024, you're taking back control, and immediately you can start to feel some of the stress fade away. So ultimately, whatever way you do it, you're going to come out with a very clear plan. And as I said, it's quite hard to start with that, but if you have started with that, keep going with it, and then fill the happiness calendar in on the end. So what I want to do is also get you to make sure that you're considering both time and finances into your calendar. And I don't think I've shared this with you before. I have in the past used something called income generating activities. So one of the things I did with my day, so we're just switching topics for a minute, and then it'll all link up and you'll understand why. So one of the things that I've done with my week, I quite like a vertical day. I like to know that today is going to be, for example, about recording the podcast. So I'm going to be in that frame of mind, record the podcast, and know that that's what I'm doing. Gather the materials together that are going to be the show notes or the links or anything like that. And I find it easier if I stay in that zone. Now, sometimes it's not going to take an entire day. It might take a quarter of a day or half a day. But then what I'd like to do if I'm in that sort of creative product creation sort of mode is what else could I do that day that keeps me in that line of thinking? Because while I'm here and I'm on it in this frame of mind, let me keep going. And so if I want to do searching for properties and I'm into desk research, and so I've got the website pages open and I'm looking at this and I'm looking at that, it would be quite good if I kept with that all day. And I really identified this as something for me when I was writing the books. Lots of people talk to you when you're writing a book about how all you've got to do is get up each morning and write for an hour. Oh my goodness, that was awful. I'd get myself into it. Right, okay, I'm going to write for an hour and I'd just be in my flow. Well, then my hour's up, but I want to keep writing. And I found that it left me with this feeling of being incomplete. So I like vertical. If you've ever listened to one of the episodes I've done with Tom Evans, a good friend of mine, he likes a horizontal day. So he's very much about, he gets up in the morning, he does a certain activity, then he likes to go and walk the dogs, then he has lunch, he works with American clients, so he does them in the afternoon, and then he does another activity in the evening. And so his calendar is full of horizontal lines. My calendar is full of vertical lines. Doesn't really matter. It's about recognizing the different roles that you have to play. Now, for some people, it's quite easy. You're either an employee and you're at work all day, or you're at home being a parent or a sibling or a partner or whatever. So you might have just a nice, easy split between Monday to Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Although I would say to you that within your week at work, you'll have different demands on you during that time while you're at work. You might have to attend meetings, you might have to do admin, you might have to do sales. And equally, when you're at home, there's going to be certain activities. So some of it's going to be about being home, some of it's going to be about being out, and you can plan this. Now, having just planned it, every plan can be flexible. So I love rigid flexibility. Rigid is, I have a plan, they're going to be vertical days. Flexibility is, if I say all my client calls are on a Friday, but you want to speak on a Tuesday, well, I'm not going to turn around and go, no, I can never speak to you because I only speak to people on Fridays. And you go, well, I'm only free on Tuesdays. Of course, I'm going to move the time. But what I would do is I would move over a block of the time and see if I could get a few more calls in, then take a break, then reset myself back to what Tuesdays are about and get on with the rest of Tuesdays. And then if I need to replace the time that I've taken to making calls, I can pay myself back on the Friday. So you can be flexible with this. But if you don't start with that sense of a rigid plan, then it's actually quite difficult to put any structure to anything. And I think that structure, I believe that structure, in fact, I know, I'm going to go even harder than that. I know that having a degree of structure, that you've got this clear pathway, actually does produce better results. So I start with this week, and what I do is I like to not work too hard on a Monday. Monday is a bank holiday, so I don't tend to put anything significant on a Monday. So I tend to call Monday an admin day. It's the day when I've just had some time off over the weekend, so I'm having a look around. Actually, I've planned this out, but generally I'm having a look around thinking, what do I need to do today? So are there bills to pay? Are there invoices to send out? Is there filing to do? Is there tidying up? Have I got, property admin with my own portfolio that I need to deal with? I can get rid of all of that. Is there home domestic stuff that we need to deal with? Like we've got to renew our insurance for something, or we want to go shopping, or we want to fill the car up, or we need to do the recycling. So it's a bitty day, but what it does for me, and I prefer it at the beginning of the week, is it then clears everything out the way. It doesn't eat into my weekend. And it means that when I effectively start work on a Tuesday, that my plate is clean. There's no distractions. There's no little bits hanging around to disturb me. So I get straight into both Tuesday and Wednesday as income generating days. And an income generating day is when I'm actually delivering for a client in a way that they are paying me for my time. So those are my 2 days a week that I earn income for my hours, as opposed to my investments doing their thing. Then on a Thursday, I like to make Thursday a creative day. So Thursday is very much about business development. And what I used to do, although I don't do it anymore, is that Friday was the day that I went networking, that I put in all the free calls. And now what I do is I scrunch that all into Thursday. So Thursday is a combination of calls that I have with people. It's some business creation, because I've written a lot of books. I've got the podcast. I don't need to do another 5 books, that sort of stuff. So I can actually slow down a bit. However, there are times when I really want to get into the creation of something. And then what I might do is just block out an entire week and bang it out, get it done. And then I know where I am and I can move on again. So having worked with these vertical days, and 2 of those days, if you remember me saying, are focused on income generation, the idea of recording and planning the income generating days became quite a natural next step. And you're going to love it. Of course, it's an Excel spreadsheet. Of course, it's got colors on it. And you've got to love an Excel spreadsheet. And if you do, you do. And if you don't, get on board, because they really are a very useful, both visual and mathematical tool to help you achieve what it is that you want to achieve. So then created this income generating activity calendar, monitor, plan, that type of thing. And I'll share it with you. And basically what you're doing is, in the front column, you're saying, what is it that you want to achieve? And we know that because we've started to look at the happiness calendar. We've done the reflection. We've started to aggregate up those words, and we're starting to get a sense of what they are. And you'll see that they're color coded into various parts of, a lot of it is business. So if you're running your own business, it will be an easier fit. If you're working, you can adapt it to yourself. But it's a combination of income generating, it's a combination of business and entrepreneurship, it's a combination of property investment, and it's a combination of personal time. So it's got all of those aspects involved. The next column is the rationale. Why is this specific? And we're now going to use the word goals, this subline of your plan or your strategy. Why is this important? Why does this make sense to the bigger picture? And so you need to fill that in. And what I've started to do is highlight the words from my values that mean something to me, so that I can see where my values are being met within my bigger plan. And then it's nice to get metric about it. So what is the measure that will tell you that you've achieved this? And what I've actually done in mine is I've filled it out, and I've done a rough copy of what I want for this 2024 year. And you can see I've put it in there. I've shared it with you. It's not, I don't mind. You can have a look. But I also think that by putting that in, you will have examples that you can then adapt to yourself. So you can just write over them. So once you've done your metric, then you want to know whether you've achieved it. That's a simple yes, no column. And then there's a notes column for at the end if you want. And then down the bottom, what you can start to do is something one of my mentors taught me about, which is laps. So you're looking at how many leads you're getting into your business, how many actions that you're taking, how many presentations that you're appointments that you're making, and presentations that you're delivering, and sales that you're closing. Now, this is only really going to apply if you're running a business. So it's very much down the bottom. If you're working for another company, if you're an employee, just skip that bit off at the bottom. Then what you'll see is there are a couple other sheets on there. One is about health. And if you've listened to me before, you know that I have to keep putting my health first, bringing my health up, because I tend to leave it in the background and I very much need to have it in the front. So I've put that in. And then there are 2 samples and then 4 blanks of how you then monitor this weekly. You use the same colors. And if you really want to get into this, you can just use the plan at the front. Just use the plan and go to the plan once a week and then look whether you're still on track. But if you really want to make the plan work, and actually you probably only need to do this for, a certain amount of the year, because you'll find that you're so busy delivering on your plan that actually by the time you go to see if you've delivered on your plan, the answer is yes. And then all you're doing is you're rewriting your plan. You're not having to monitor it as closely because you're in your flow. And that's the key thing here. So to summarize today, whether it is the obligatory goals, setting your strategy, creating your plan, it's that time of year, or whether this is an opportunity for you to really sit down and curate the wealthy life that you want to live. Now is an opportunity. I've shared a tool with you. Use it if you feel. I've explained how it came about for me, how I like to use my days, and then how that's led in to the income generating activity calendar, so you can start to focus on it. Now, if you're not uber focused on finances because your finances are fine, you can just be monitoring them. And what you might want to do, if time is more important to you, is change that to happiness generating activities. And so you can just change the headings. It's simply a template for you to use. Delete out my content, shape it up for yourself, but have a look at how I've used it, because that'll give you ideas how to use it yourself. And then the last thing I do is I keep that. Yes, there's a master copy saved, but I keep that on my desktop. So every time I switch my computer on, there it is in the corner by the little button at the bottom. So I look at it and I go, okay, I remember that. Have I looked at it this week? And you put a pattern in. So you maybe, rather than wait till Fridays to look at it, maybe check it on a Thursday. How am I doing this week? Maybe check it on a Wednesday. Whatever day suits you, have a look. Maybe have a look a couple of times a week. How are you doing? Are you following the plan? Are you going to make 2024 financially and joyfully better than 2023, if that's what it is that you're looking for? And if you are, awesome. And if you're not, come back to the tools, go through the different podcasts. So 34 again about the happiness calendar, have that on the wall. Have a photograph of that as your desktop, add to it all the time. I've got another friend and I interviewed her, Jane Mallion. She has the same thing. She has a happy calendar. Lots of people do this. Keep that as something that draws you forward. And of course you fill in other things around your happy calendar. And of course you've got to have the finances to pay for the happy that you want, if the happy is going to cost you things. So say, for example, you decide once a month I'm going to go to a concert. You've got to have the money to go to the concerts. And if you don't have that money now, then one of the things that you've got to stick in your plan is, how are you going to either save money on something else that isn't actually that important to you, or how are you going to generate more money so that you can go to a concert once a month, or holidays, or time with family, or whatever it is that you want to do. The choice is yours. And that's the point of this podcast. You can either be a bit part in somebody else's life, somebody else's story, or you can be the author of your own. And the last thing that I'm going to share with you is that there was a brilliant film, and I do love Ryan Reynolds. I loved this film. I know other people didn't, but if you get a chance to ever go and listen to it or watch it, I'm pretty sure it was called Free Guy, and it was Ryan Reynolds, and I'll put the link in, Ryan Reynolds, where it turns out that he is a bit part character in a computer game, and he doesn't realize that he's in this world, and all these other players around him, there's a special name for it if you're into gaming, he's a non-something player, and all these other people are living lives, and he's just repeating the same life. So he gets up every morning, obviously the game starts again, and he starts his life again. So it's like trapped in a Groundhog Day. And then all of a sudden he realizes that he's trapped in this Groundhog Day. And that's what I want to say to you. Are you trapped in a Groundhog Day? Are you doing the same thing? Is your life being steered by somebody else because they're writing the script, not you? Look at that, 333. Why are we successful? Maybe go check that episode out. So think about it now. Why is your life the way it is? Is it because somebody else is planning it? Or is it because you haven't been clear on what it is that you want? So your script's a bit messy. And really what you want to do now is reflect back, look at how the script went last year, look at how you can make it better for 2024, map it out on the calendar if that works for you as a visual. Use the Excel spreadsheet to get in there and get into the real detail, the metrics, get smart about the goals, and then crack on and do it. And please get in touch with me either halfway through the year when you've noticed how amazing it is, or at the end of the year when you reflect back again, and just let me know what a difference this has made. It's not about, well, it is about control, let's be honest, but it's not just about control. It's about designing your destiny, being the master of your own fortune, all of those sorts of lines that we have in our lives. Instead of listening and buying into the moaning, do something about it. What do you want? How do you want to be? And I know that I've been working with a lot of women lately and listening to the change in women's language about how more and more and more of them really want to be in a position where they are protecting, creating and growing their own financial security is incredible to hear. It's like a sort of like a little rumble in amongst the female energy where they are concentrating on this. And if you're not a woman listening to this and you're a man, are you concentrating on your financial security? It could be just the same for you. I haven't noticed it in the men that I've been speaking to, because a lot of the men are more stressed about work, more stressed about how much time they're missing with their families. But it doesn't have to be like that. So links that are going in the bottom of this to last week's episode 96 on reflection, back to 34, the happy calendar conversation that I have in that episode. And I'm also going to put in the income generating activity monitor, so that spreadsheet for you. And then you just need to go buy your happiness calendar and fill it out. And if you can buy one with little stickers on it, that just makes it all the better. I love the stickers on my happiness calendar. So I wish you all the very best. As usual, I hope I've been able to put some whoosh into your life and to really give you some very practical things that you need to do in order to make 2024 the most amazing year that you've had yet, and the start of an incredible journey moving forward. Please do rate, please do leave a review, please do get in touch if you have any questions or you need any help. My name's Vicky O'Shea. Have a very good week, and I will speak to you next week. Thank you.